Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And again, my name is Warren Davis. Happy to have you all that are on the call with us here today. This is Thursday, the 27th of June, and we are looking forward to getting to your questions, answering some questions we had from the last call. And just real quick, you should be looking on my screen. My indicators are showing that I'm coming through loud and clear, but I want to make sure that you can hear me and that you can see the how-to screen that is displayed. If you want to send me in a response, I would appreciate it to let me know that you're hearing me and that you can see my screen. Now it says send me your questions, and you're just going to type them in to this question box or any comments and press send. If you do have a question, thank you, Jean and Eileen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you do have a question, as we've forestated before, I think there's maybe a couple of new people on the line. When you type in your question, if it is a question about whatever we're covering at this particular time, if you would please put a question mark in front of your question, so that it gives me a cue have so many different comments coming in as well as questions. I want to be able to distinguish which one is questions and which ones are actually comments. So if I don't see a question mark or the word question before your question, I might take it as a comment and I might not actually get to it on this call. So again, for those of you that are brand new, these calls are recorded and they're put on the Investment Dominator. They're also now being put into out on the web, so you can have access to them. But these are being posted a couple of different places, so you can always go back and listen to the call at your leisure. And each call will always have a timestamp, or each question, I should say, from the call that we cover will have a timestamp associated with each question we cover, so that you can then go directly to that particular portion of the recording, and you don't have to listen to the entire recording to get to the subject that you want to have answered. Just by way of public service announcements, okay, today is Thursday, the 27th, but on next week is the 4th of July holiday. So 4th of July, we will not be having a call, and I will go into the system and actually cancel that call. I want to make sure that we don't have anyone sign into the call for next Thursday at 12 noon, and then there's actually nobody here. So we will be canceling that call. You should be receiving an email notifying you that the call is actually canceled. So again, I want you to go and enjoy your 4th of July. And what we're going to do is going to get right on into answering some questions here that we had a few left over from this past Thursday that I want to make sure I get back to. One of the first ones that we missed on Thursday was a question that came in from Carlos. He mentioned that he had a buyer record that had ended up in his buyer profile within Investment Dominator, and basically there was no buyer. It wasn't actual buyer information, but it ended up being his information, like his phone number or his name. And so after I got off the call, I was wondering how that could possibly happen, how you can end up with, a buyer's record. Here you see I'm displaying my Investment Dominator screen, and I was wondering, well, how can you have an actual buyer record end up in the system without the right information? And I was reminded that a lot of times individuals will go in, especially to your buying site, and actually it'd be your selling site, and they might enter information. Let's see, I want to make sure I bring this up right. Yeah, okay, right now it's not showing the, okay, I'll show you this, where they opt in. Okay, so this is actually the site I want you to see, or the page I want you to see, where you see where they opt in. They could actually, to answer his question or to understand why there might be a record that actually ended up in his system, and it wasn't an actual buyer information. And so his question was, well, how do I contact this person? And if I don't have the right, contact information, I don't have the email address, I don't really have the right first name. So sometimes um, individuals will come to your selling site where you have these opt-in, where they can opt in, and they will enter, like, let's say if they entered a bogus first name and a bogus email address, and then they viewed all your available deals. So see, someone might just be trying to see the deals, but they don't necessarily want you to contact them right away. They want to know if they're even interested in purchasing, any land, or if you have any buys that they might be interested in. So they would enter a first name and an email address and just view, and it could be just bogus. And that's how a record would actually end up getting into your buyer's list. He said it was in his buyer's list and it had his name and his, I think he said it had his phone number as well and his email address. So they obviously put in, just some bogus information on the opt-in page. Okay. And that's probably how that particular record ended up in his system. And I just wanted to clarify that, because just in case anyone else has run into this, that's probably the best answer I could give you on that. And thank you. We've already got some questions coming in. Thank you, Brad. I'm going to look at that momentarily. I'm going to first go through the questions that we weren't able to get to on last Thursday, and then we'll take the new questions for today. So we also had a question from Ernest on last Thursday. And Ernest was asking basically, see, I was working on a list of 321 prospects. So Ernest had a list of 321 prospect records, and they were selected, but he said when he went to generate, I guess we wanted to actually export this list so that he could take it or send it to letterprinting.net, or for some whatever reason he wanted to output these 321 prospect records. He said only 290 were actually generated, and it did not give a reason why the 30 were left out. And he just asked the question, do we know why of 321 prospects, 290 actually got generated? And without actually looking at his actual transactions that he did in terms of his export, I can't really say exactly why his did not show, did not give any reason why the 30 were left out. I mean, I have an idea, but I want you to know Investment Dominator is going to leave records out when we go into our land deals and we look at any prospect records that are going to be processed, whether if you select them, this way, one at a time. Investment Dominator will leave out records for one of three reasons. Either, let's say if something is wrong with the data. Now it's very unlikely that at this level, where I'm talking about prospects records in your land deals records, these records have already been either imported or they've been created and they are in the proper format. So I doubt if you would have any errors, like let's say first names or last names left out, because the record wouldn't have been in this system probably if it hadn't been correctly input. So if there was a company, this one is Ridgeport Villages Inc. So if you were trying to import a record and it was a company record, but there was no company name associated with it, that's again, if you're importing the records, that would be a reason why there would be a record left out. And then the third reason that Investment Dominator would leave records out that you're trying to import is if it finds any duplicates. So if there's any duplicates, obviously Investment Dominator would not process those records or would bypass any second records. So I don't know if he had duplicates in the 321 or if he had errors that actually Investment Dominator didn't pick up. But I will say this now: if you're importing records at this using your bulk import, remember these commands up top here are your bulk import or your bulk commands that are based on a record status. These commands here at the lower level are records that you actually go in and remember you select, one at a time or 10 at a time, however. So if you're using your bulk import, and I'm just going to do an example of one, and you come in here, now you want to upload a .csv file, and I'm going to show you if you use the bulk level commands. So what I did was I selected a CSV file that I want to import into Investment Dominator. Now when I say upload list, at this level, because I used my bulk level command, when I upload, if there were any errors, see it says 2 rows not imported, and it gives me the reason right here, empty last name on these particular records that were not imported. So just to, and I can show you the actual file. Let's see here. It's important to get these kinds of this kind of information clarified for people because you do a lot of importing. So as you can see, I have 2 individual records, this one here, one, and another one here, that even though they're different records, but you see they've got no last name, right? So that's what Investment Dominator picked out, the fact that there was no last name. And so it said, empty last name on records 8 and 10. So that's the errors you would see if you use these upper level import commands, because it's based on a status. Investment Dominator usually takes care of that. Now, just for the sake of our demoing any future ones here, I may have to get rid of that last import. And remember how I got rid of the last import? We go in here, go into your activity log. But anyway, I hope that answers that question. If you're using your bulk level commands to bring records in, you'll notice that Investment Dominator will give you an error message, but you have to kind of pay attention as you import those records. So I hope that answers your question, Ernest. Why you may not have seen them is because you may have been looking at them at a different level. You weren't using your bulk level commands. And for some reason here, this demo account is going really, really slow. It's loading my activity records. It seems to be taking quite a while. So let me see if I can move on to one of our other questions while this, okay, this is another question that came in on last Thursday, basically around Ernest, he has undeliverable records. So it sounds like what he was going in the process, he's in the process of sending out his neutral letters. Okay, good question. I got your question, Eileen. I think I'm just going to, right after this question, I'll be able to go back and capture Brad's question and Eileen's question. Okay, seems to be something going on here with the system at this time. Let me see if I can get back out of here. I think what I'm going to do, I'll come back in again. Seems to be some kind of response time issue we have here, but we'll find out. Okay, I'm just trying to get into the activity log. Normally doesn't take very long at all to list all of the activities. In any case, this next question that we received from Ernest is he has some undeliverable letters. So we're assuming here, to answer his question, that he's got records in the prospect. They're getting into the prospect status. So he's sending out neutral letters, and he wants to know the best and the least expensive skip tracing site that you can utilize. And I don't know a lot of different sites. The one that we have used before, and I'm going to bring it up here, is Spokeo. You may have heard of that. Spokeo.com. And this is one of the sites that we've used in the past and that we've actually paid for, and it's a paid for, but it's a reasonable expense or a reasonable cost, I think. It's approximately $30, and very good. Thank you, Gene. I've also Gene just also gave a comment that there's a true people search works. True people search, it also works, I guess. True people search, and it's a free service. So that's one you can use as well. I don't know how accurate they may be. Spokeo has worked for us. It's right around $30 every quarter, and it usually, and we pay a VA to go in and actually do our skip tracing. Some VAs, get approximately 50 cents per letter to skip trace the letters. Some are a little higher. So, but again, there's Spokeo, and then Gene just mentioned it's True People Search, and he says it works quite well. So those are a couple. Let me see if I can bring up. I have not looked at True People Search. All right, True People Search. I don't know what the URL is there. But in any case, True People Search, it says, Brad says he used it for batch skip tracing, or he uses batch skip tracing. It seems like batch skip tracing, they charge about 35 cents per trace. So there's a couple for you. So there's Spokeo that we just brought up, and there's True People Search, and there's a batch skip tracing. So there's various services out there that you can use, Ernest, and hopefully that kind of gives you some ideas of some that you can check into. Seems like reasonable, 35 cents. But then there's a minimum of 50 that you would, I guess you have to use at a certain time, and they'll skip trace that. Different skip trace services obviously have different rules, for pricing. So go on and give those a try. And then let's see, one of our questions, I think it covers the questions that we missed on Thursday. So let's see here. The best way to organize records when you're doing a second offer. Is a second offer option drop down and offer amount field going to be added to software anytime soon? Is a second offer option an offer amount field going to be added to the software anytime soon? Not to my knowledge, Brad. Best way to organize records when you're doing a second offer, I believe there's a status that is in the system for Let's see. I wanted to edit this and let me see. Okay. Now, you know, you could offer option sent. Now, you actually have the capability within the system, and I have demoed this on how to add like a new custom status. So if after you've already sent an offer, you want to send a second offer, you can go in and you can actually come up with, or you can actually develop a second status. You could create a new offer status within this list so that you can assign that to your records if you want, and that would help you to organize those records. So I'm just going to write down here, and I may not get into it on this call, but I can definitely demo that portion of it for you on, I'll look for, I may demo that on our Monday call, but basically adding another status, a custom status to the statuses that are already here, and you could have it be your second offer sent status if you like. And the best way, how would I say, the best way, that would probably be the best way to organize records when you're doing a second offer. It's let's see, organize records for second offer. We've had that case, a couple of times, and normally, like I say, what I would do is go in here and put another status so that when you're in your land deals records, and you might be having, see if there's any offer options since already in here. But if I wanted to mail letter one, complete. No, we have blind offer sent. This was a custom status that we created just for, blind offers. And let's see, Eileen, your question. Let's see, 23. Your question here was, what do you do about getting records into the system after you make corrections? Okay, so this is kind of coincides with a question that we have from one of our other students, and I'm thinking what you're talking about, getting records into the system. And this is Eileen. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but basically it sounds like you're asking if you imported these records, and let's say you got some errors on those records. So what I would do, honestly, I would go back and I would make these corrections right here in the file. Let's say, and if I make these corrections, obviously, and then I'm going to save, I would make them right here in the actual file. And what I would do then is, after you make the corrections, just import the file again. You don't need to even come in and get rid of these files, because remember, Investment Dominator is going to keep track of any duplicates. So theoretically here, save this record, and we'll get rid of this here. And if I come in now and I import, if I import this file again, so I'm going to import it at this level, and I upload my list. Okay, so it's saying I would expected those two records. Okay, so it imported all of the 10 records, but The two that I corrected, let's go back and make sure. Let's see. I'll call up my file here. Make sure that, so I should see one. Let me make sure I see if I went for Juan Delgado. Search. And see if I find, no, see that did not put those. I would have expected that. I'm going to check this out because what I would have expected to do. Let me search by first name just to make sure. Okay, Mendoza. Nope. What I would have expected Investment Dominator to do, I will have to check this out, is since we corrected these names, we corrected these files, I would have expected Investment Dominator to import the two new files. It would have bypassed all the other records and imported the new files. So, and this was errors. Okay, that was the right one. Let me make sure. This is the correct one. Yeah. Port upload list. Okay. I'm going to have to check that out. This is a demo account, but it should. We've had this happen with us, in our system before, and the ones that did not import correctly, theoretically, all we've had to do is go back and change those records to make them, based on what Investment Dominator told us. They've needed a last name, we put in a last name. And I'm going to put down here, I'm going to check with our technical team. And I'm going to make sure I understand why that did not import, because it should have just imported the new records. But hopefully, if you get a chance to check your records before you actually import them, you should keep your errors to a minimum. But the whole point of that question was to make sure you know that if you're using your bulk update commands up here, Investment Dominator should tell you exactly why records did not get imported. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Great, thanks. Okay, the ones that did not import correctly, that's the ones we're talking about. Okay. All right. We have another question that came in here that we want to address. Again, I'm gonna get as many on this call as I possibly can. Okay, we have a good business question that came in regarding importing records each week, and this one is from Brian. That was I think one of the colliers out in Las Vegas area, and Brian had asked a question I think a while back about importing records each week, and basically, if he wanted to get his 500 records in per week, to reach 500, when he exports the records going to letterprinting.net, the count is actually less. And I can understand this. This has happened to me several times, and it happens to me really almost every week. So nothing out of the ordinary, but let's look at a file. If we import records, a lot of times what Investment Dominator does is if I want to get my 500 records in many cases I have to really import uh, possibly maybe 550 or even 600 records. I have to go over the number. So here, here we're looking at 11 records. But if I wanted, if I had 500 records listed here, in order to reach my 500 record quota each week, I would have to probably import, from a file 600, because a lot of times in the data that I'm importing, there may be duplicate records and I'm not aware that they're duplicate records. And so Investment Dominator, will not process a record a second time. I could also have errors in some of the records that I'm importing. Any of the fields could be an error and Investment Dominator will drop those out. So it's kind of a rule that if you want to reach certain numbers each week, successfully imported records, if you want to reach 500, you might have to actually import 600 records, and then Investment Dominator might go through and get rid of all your deletes, or show up any errors that you have in your data, and then your count will still be 500 records. Hoping that makes sense. So that you can actually reach your quota. And okay, hopefully that will answer Brian's question. We have a question here I'm gonna try to answer here. Don's question that I just saw pop up. See, how do my top available to see as I scroll down, or I'm not really getting clarity there, clear understanding of your question there, Don, but it looks like you have your ORD ID, P state, P county. So these are records, looks like going to the letterprinting.net. That looks like an output, those output fields. How do my top available to see as I scroll down? Your top line. Okay, let me export here, which I think will give us the fields. I'll just go on and export. These are all the fields. This is as it goes in, and you have your okay. It says your top line in Excel. So how do I see as I scroll down? Order ID, P state. Okay. So it sounds like as you scroll down through your list, you want to keep these headers in place in Excel. So, okay, this is actually an Excel question. It's not so much Investment Dominator. In Excel, I do happen to know that you can, there is a freezing panes, and that has to do with, let's see, in data, let me see if I can show you real quick here. Nope, we've been flow and review. Okay, let's see. Let's know what version of Excel I've got here. But I should be under data, I believe. Page layout. If I can't, I'll have to take some time and research for you on Excel. Okay, here we go. So I think under this freeze panes, this is what I was looking for. So under view, under freeze panes, okay, keep the top row visible while scrolling through. So you would basically um, want to select this freeze panes and freeze this top row. And as you scroll down, you can see my top row remains steadfast. Okay, can you see that? First line here. As I scroll down now through my data, I can always keep that. Okay, and so that's what it is. How to freeze the top row. Okay, glad to help you. Glad to help you with that. That's definitely an Excel question, not really our investment dominator. But anyway, I'm glad that works for you, Don. This is just one thing you can do, and I totally understand when you're going through lots of data that you really need to keep track of which row you're looking at, but you can do that in any. But it's definitely under view and under freeze panes. Okay, moving on here. Good question. That's making me put on my Excel hat. I'm definitely not what I would call an Excel guru, but I played around with it enough over the years. Any case, so we have another question. It has to do with changing your cover letter, and I'll get to that one shortly. As we are answering here some business questions. One business question here is, should we mail to LLCs? Okay, now you'll find some controversy on this. What I've been told recently here by our management, and even Jack himself, and I realize that Jack has taught that we take out any companies or LLCs in our mailings. So obviously I wouldn't mail to a company or an LLC. I wouldn't mail to a church, etc. This was the way it was in prior to, let's say, 2010 or 2011 timeframe. The market was of such that trying to mail for vacant land, trying to acquire vacant land from LLCs or churches, trusts, etc., wasn't very profitable. They were not, no one was getting any responses back. But the market has since changed drastically enough, especially after the 2011 timeframe. And if you look now at a lot of the ways coaches and students that are successful, even ourselves, we definitely mail to LLCs, because a lot of times LLCs are they're private individuals, but they've put their land under an LLC name. So it's just like mailing to an individual. So my answer to that question is yes, keep mailing to your LLCs, keep mailing to churches, keep mailing to trusts. I don't know how many individuals we've come in contact with since we've been in business where they received land from an actual church, and they were like one of the deacons in the church, or their parents were one of the deacons in the church, and the church wanted to give them a gift, so they gave them a parcel of land that the church actually owned. That's happened. Trusts can be individuals. So I won't go into any belabor that any longer, but the answer to that question is yes. Continue to mail to LLCs and trusts, and this, from what we're seeing now, and this is not guaranteed, but this can be results in about 25 to 30% of your contracts that get accepted. So that's a business question, not really much to do with the Investment Dominator, but yes, continue to mail to LLCs. I think you'll be surprised at your response there. Let's see. You have the changed document in the file, the original. Oh, okay. Eileen, it sounds like you're asking a question about mailing, about changes to your cover letter or sales agreement. Oh, it says, how do you have the change document in the file? Oh, not the original one. So now that would mean if you're going to create a customized document, a customized, cover letter, um, you would have to come under customized document, basically, and you would add a new document. And this obviously would be a document. I think I've demoed this as well, but I'll go into more detail. Maybe I'll make a note of this one. But basically, what you'd want to do is to come in here and determine the document type, and I always put both for PDF or document, and what status you want to deal with. If you're obviously dealing with a sales agreement, this is going to be offer option sent, or we can put that status on it. But basically, the most important part of this, and we will leave it portrait, we're not going to insert any. You might want to say this is a custom, let's say, sales agreement. And what needs to happen here at this level is you need to get a copy of that document brought into this particular portion. So if I say source here, that's going to allow me to actually, what I need to do first though, before I even got into that section, let's go and see if we have, and I'm going to search our user guide here. Let's say sales agreement. Don't know if we have any in, don't think we do. Customize. Okay. We sales, let's see. Sample buying site. System offer. Let's see. I don't think we have any custom, or we have any offer letters. Let's see, you were talking about a sales agreement or a cover letter. And so I wanted to get a template basically of one of those documents. And I don't think we have any, but let's look at one. So any of your sales agreements that you're going to look at, if I were you, I would go over into the LPG2 and look under the documents and actually pull up one of the custom letters from one of the documents there. What I'll have to do is search for and see, Eileen, if I can find a document on our system here on the Investment Dominator. But what you would have to do in order to answer, just to answer your question, when you come up here and you customize, going to customize, you go into custom documents, and you have to create an actual document. I don't think I have any sound. Awful letter, neutral letter. Customize individual sample up letter. Let me see here. Nope, that's not one. What's needed to happen is you have to customize, you have to create a custom document that has grab 25 to, and you have to say, come in here and say add this document. Like here, I created a custom offer letter. I customized my offer letter, and I created this document just as you see here, and then I named it, custom offer letter 1. So that's basically what you'd have to do if you wanted to create a sales agreement. You'd have a custom sales agreement, and here is, in this particular area, is where you have all of your information that would go on that letter. Now, once you have that and you name it custom offer letter, then when I come out of this section and I go into my land deals record and I generate, let's say, an offer letter for this particular individual, say generate documents, and I come down here, see, these automatically, any custom document that I create would actually end up in this section, and it's going to give me a template. Hopefully this is correct. Yes. This is what would show up after I customized an actual letter or an actual document. So I'm hoping that's clear. I'll go through on another call if you want to really see how to step through that. But basically what we need to do is you need to get a copy of that custom, a copy of your sales agreement or your cover letter that you want, because you see you have the standard or the built-in cover letters right here. And if you wanted to change this cover letter, okay, this is an example of the cover letter. If you want to change this particular letter, you want to get a copy of this letter, and once you have that copy of that letter, you would come in and you would go under Customize, Custom Documents, and then add this new document. And you obviously want to do it for land only. You want to make it a document. I always select both here. Status, since it's a sales agreement, you've obviously opened up escrow. This would be the status in. That's not really a big deal at this point. But then you want to, you might call it your custom sales agreement. And then here is where you want to actually copy in all of the text for that particular sales agreement. You want to say label, yes, on the allow export, allow bulk update for each property. And then, you'd move to whatever the next status is, which might be complete, ready to sell. Now, when you add this document, just to make it something simple, let's see, seller's name, seller's address. Okay, so we're going to add this here. Now we've made this sample, custom, and if I do a document preview, see, this is my document. So I actually came in and I created this document. It's just that simple. This is a sample one, but basically I had to create a new sales agreement document. And because we have this new feature now, you can do your document preview right here. You can check it out. You don't have to go through actually generating it from your land deals records, but you can see them, see your sales agreement right here. That's basically how you would do it. And then this stays away from, it doesn't change your built-in sales agreement or your built-in offer letter, cover letter that you're trying to create. Okay, that's a good question. And let me write down how to, that was from Eileen, generate a custom sales agreement. Okay, moving on here so that we can get as many of these questions answered as possible. Okay, we had a question come in from one of our students on how to remove the sale option, sell your house option from your buying site. This is a question we get fairly often. Got just about enough time to cover this one. How to remove, let's see, the sell your house option. Okay, this is fairly straightforward, but just so that you know, let's see, under the selling site, let's try the buying site. It's under your buying site. You'll see where you have two different options. You can sell your land for cash or you can sell your house fast. Now, a lot of individuals now, because we're doing, we're in vacant land and we're selling land. We're not selling anything that has anything to do with a house. They don't even want this on their site. The reason being, because it's saying you get a cash offer for your house or land. So obviously you'd have to modify this particular banner as well, because you just want to say for your land. But they want to get rid of altogether this sell your house fast. So what we would do, we'd come in and you want to go again under customize, and I think it should be your buying site. And then you want to say we want to manage our buying site menu, and that's where we come in. You'll display this particular setup here. Now, as you can see, we have a header and a footer area. This is your header over here to the left and your footer area over to the right. You notice that what's in here is different links. These represent different links on the site. You have your home, sell your land, sell your house here. So sell your house here, and we have a sell your house in the footer. Now, in order for you to get rid of that, all you have to do is just take, and what I'm doing is I'm hovering over, I'm doing a left click with my mouse, and I'm dragging this up into the area that says not set. See this area here? Not set. And I'm going to do the same with my footer area. I'm left clicking, dragging it up to the not set area. Simple. And once I get this, now don't forget, so now it should have just sell your land on both sides, on your header and your footer. I'm going to hit save. Always remember to hit save. And just for safety, I always come down and I update the site. Got that? So again, so then if I call up now my buying site, you see that other link is gone, and all you have here is your sell your land for cash. And that particular link that has anything to do with house is gone. So it's just that simple. And again, if I want to put it back just for, Let's see, I want to customize, go into customize, and then again, you want to go into your buying site, manage your buying site menu. And this is just a menu of the links that are there. So, sell your house got up to here. If I want to bring it back down, I can create that again. Sell your house. For the footer, I'm going to hit save. Come down, I'm going to hit update the site. And we go back in here to check your buying site. And as you can see, it's right back there again. So, okay, and we have a question about the banner. What do you do with the banner? So, in your, editing of your buying site, you should say right here, see it says get cash for your house or land. So obviously if you changed it to just land, you would just come in here and change this banner. And then once you've changed anything on your site, every time, just get into the habit of coming down and updating your site. And then when you go back in and you look at your buying site again, get a cash offer now for your land. That's just that simple. So it's all maintained under your buying site menu. And I want to make sure I get that question down. Very good question. Okay, how to change our banner on sites. And there are some articles in updating your sites that are in your user guide. And so again, I think if you just type in buying site, sometimes you have to search around a little bit to get actually the articles on, because how to customize the buying site banners, how to customize the color scheme of your buying site. Different articles are already written and will help you to locate information that has already been written up. Okay, so we're let's see, we're not going to get to the few more questions that came in. They came in through our ticket system. So I want you to keep on sending in those questions because I get them up front, and then I'm able to prepare for and put it together a nice little demo so I can show you exactly how to handle some of your issues. Again, we appreciate you being here on today, and we are, again, remember, next Thursday, the 4th of July, we're going to be off. So we'll be back here Monday again to answer some more questions. So if you get them in there on time, I'll be able to put together a little demo for you on by Monday, and we'll get your questions answered. Just to leave you with a thought for today, hope all of you are looking forward to having a great weekend. I want to tell you about success. Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, a love of what you're doing or learning to do. So, success is really by no accident. And we know that you're hardworking people because you've taken on this land business, and we want to wish you all the success in the world. Our goal is to get your questions answered and to at least keep you moving forward in your business. So don't hesitate to ask questions and come back online. We'll look forward to seeing you again on Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Hope you all have a great weekend, and be safe out there. You're very welcome. Have a great evening. Talk to you later now.